Today our topic is configMap. Agenda of this video are what is configMap, how to create configMap from YAML file, and the second one is from command line. Then we will try to learn how to insert the variable into container. Again, we can insert the variable from environment variables and volume. Inside this environment variable, we can divide it into three parts from the file or directory. Second one is from YAML file, and inside this we have three types: env, envFrom, and from command line. So both are the syntax here, env and envFrom, and we will try to discuss what are the difference between env and envFrom. Env stand for environment variable, and inside this volume we will create through YAML file. So let's explore the first topic, that is what is config map. A config map is an API object used to store non-confidential data in key value pairs. We have already covered what is key value pairs in the YAML file topic. It means that config map does not provide secrecy or encryption. If you want to store data confidential, then use secret rather than use config map, or use additional third-party tools to keep your data private. Kubernetes provide these value to your container. Pod can consume config map as an environment variable, command line argument, or as a configuration file in a volume. It means that we can insert the extra parameter from three ways, and we will cover in the lab. A config map allows you to decouple environment specific configuration from your container images so that your applications are easily portable. In short, we can say that use a config map to keep your container's application code separate from your configuration. A config map is not designed to hold large chunk of data. The data stored in config map cannot exceed 1 MB. If you need to store settings that are larger than this limit, you may want to consider mounting a volume or use a separate database or file services. Just for your information, the config map is stored in the etcd database. In short, we can say that if we need to add environment variable like hostname or some other variables, we can use config map. How to create config map? There are two ways to create config map. The first one is through YAML file, and the second one is from command line. Let's explore the first one, that is create a config map through YAML file. In the config map YAML file, kind equal to config map. Here C and M are capital words. API version is v1. Under the metadata section, we have defined name of this config map so that we can identify it. After that, we have added namespace equal to core. It means that this config map will be created inside the core namespace. And please bear in mind that config map is a namespace object. Further, we will notice that the data section. However, for other objects, we have always spec section. Inside this data section, we have added three variables. Remember the key value pair. Nginx port is a key and 8080 is the value. Same as it language is key and the value of this key is English. In the last variable, we have defined more than one values separated by comma. Now let's explore the second one, that is create a config map from command line. In order to create a config map from command line, I just take a reference from previous YAML file so that we can understand it better. First, we need to use kubectl create subcommand and then object type is config map, and after that we mention the config map name, that is command hyphen config map. Next, we use hyphen hyphen from literal option to specify the key value pair. If we have multiple key value pairs, then we can use multiple time this option, like this and like this. If I describe this config map, I will observe same output if we create a config map from YAML file. From here, we have data. Inside this data, we have key, and this key has the value of 8080. Then again we have key and the value is this. Again we have key and the value is English. Inside this binary data, we have not mentioned anything. So it means that in the config map, we can insert the value inside this data or binary data. Now we will talk about how to insert the variable into container. As I said previously, there are two ways: environment variables or from volume. From the environment variable, we have two options: from files or directory, from YAML file, envFrom, and from command line. So let's explore the first one, that is from file or directory. If we use directly file or directory with the command option, for now just remember that while using file in the environment variable, the file name will be the key and the content of this file will be the value. So here the file name is enginexport, so this is my key and 8080 is my value. Don't worry, we have a dedicated lab for this topic, so we will cover in the lab section how we can create this thing. So for now, let's move forward. From the command line, we have env syntax. So let's explore this one. This is our simple deployment YAML file, or you can say that manifest file. One can notice the kind equal to deployment. In this spec section, we have some information about the container. If we want to insert the variable by using env syntax, we have to adhere the parameters. Let me zoom this section. Here the first section is env. Under this, we have defined the name of key that we want to insert it. Then we have value from. Beneath this, we use configMap reference syntax, and the name of our configMap is this. Please bear in mind that the same name we have mentioned in the configMap YAML file. In the last, we have defined the key name, that is enginexport. Name must be same in the configMap YAML file. Again, we are going to insert second variable, and the name of this key variable is web app lang. We can use any name, no limitation. In this example, we are using the same config map. This is the reason we are using this config map name. Please note that we can use other config map too. There is no limitation to use only one config map. From this config map, we want to insert second key, that is language. In the container, we will observe these two variables names, that is enginexport and web app lang. Please note that we can use env option to hardcode our key values. In this example, we are not calling our config map, but we hardcoded our key1 and key2 variables. So key1 is this, and the value of this key is value 1. Just for your information, this is the extra information apart from the config map topic. So let's move to our second syntax, that is envFrom. Again, this is our simple deployment YAML file, and this is our spec section. Inside this, we have added envFrom section. Env stands for environment variable. Beneath this, we have a config map key reference, and here we must define the name of our config map that we created earlier. Here name is same, that is example-config map. If we add entries like this, we will observe the content of this config map in the container environment variables. In this case, we will observe three environment variables. In last, we can say that if we want to consume all the content of config map, then we can use envFrom syntax, that is this one. And if we want to insert some key, then we can use env syntax. So now I hope you understand the difference between env and envFrom option. So let's move our third option, that is from command line. Now this is our port. Why we are using port? Because we are going to use command option. It means that this port will complete the job and stop. That's it. I will talk about job in some other topic. However, today we are just focusing on command option while using config map. In the spec section, we are using env option. Please note that these two variables names which we use earlier inside the command option, here in the command we are just print the variable name. We are not using key name, that is language, that is our second variable. So what we have defined the name of this key, we just print here. And when we print this variable, we will observe the value of this key. Therefore, we can say that in the port configuration file, we define one variable name and that variable name is pointing out to one key, and that key has the value inside this config map. So I execute this command kubectl create -f new port.yaml. So in this YAML file we have the content of port YAML file that I described in the previous slide. If I execute this command kubectl get port, I will see the status is completed. And if I use kubectl logs config map pod hyphen pod, this is the name of my pod, I will observe 8080 and English key. And let me show you here the command that I used here is echo engine export and web app lang. The value of engine export is 8080 and web app lang is English. Now let's move to our second topic, that is volume, how to insert it, right? So and we have only one option inside this volume, that is YAML file. Mounting a config map as a data volume, in this case we are using config map as a file in the pod container. For this, under spec section, we need to add a volume section and also extend the container section and add the volume mount. Name should be same. We had already discussed in the volume videos. Inside the volume section, we need to add config map parameter and add the config map name, same as we define in the config map YAML file. Once we create the deployment, we will observe three files inside the etc config directory in the container. Both YAML file are now in front of you so that you can visualize it. And notice that I have defined config map name on both deployment manifest file. We have to make a link in the YAML file, deployment YAML file, so that we can instruct Kubernetes object to fetch the content from the config map. And the last topic is immutable config map. So what is this? If we add the immutable equal to true, it means that once we created a config map with this option, we cannot update the config map in future. If we want to modify this config map, then we have to delete the existing one and then create a new one with modified data. If you want to add this option, please wisely add this option and you are make sure that we are not going to update this config map in future. Now let's move to config map lab plus exam preparation. As per my best knowledge, Config map question will become under CKAD, not in CKA. Config map directory is already created on my GitHub page. So inside this 14 volume directory, going inside this config map, and we have 4 labs available. First, I'm going to click command line. It's very short one. We have already covered all the parts. So how we can create the config map from command line. So here we are using kubectl create config map, and the name of this config map is command-config map from literal engine export equal to 8080. So let me go here, copy. There is no file inside this directory. From the output, we can observe that this config map is created. As you can see here that command config map is created. Describe. From this describe subcommand, the name of this config file is command-config map, and it is created inside the namespace default. We have not set any label annotations, and we have data, and here we have binary data. So we have set variables inside this data. So engine export, the value is this. So this is my key and this is my value. This is my key and this is my value. Key value pair. Let me clear the screen. After successfully completed the config map, now we need to create the deployment. In this deployment, I'm using envFrom, and after that config map reference, and this is my config map name. So command-config map, this name is same here. So let me copy this YAML file and paste it over here. Let me clear the window. This is my YAML file. Now I need to create the deployment from the above YAML file. So I'm just using this command. From the output, it is clear that my deployment is created successfully. Check the deployment. I can also check the deployment here by executing the command kubectl get deployment. One of my pod is running successfully. As of now, my one pod is running. So let me check this pod. Pods, grab this one and running. And op print $1. So now it will print only one name. And let's suppose if we have multiple pods are running, so we can use here head space minus n1. So now it will always showing me only one pod that is running. So what I can do here, kubectl execute minus it and then $sign and then bracket close. Inside this bracket, I'm going to use this command here and then env. It will print env. From the output, we can confirm these three variables are correctly inserted inside my container. This is what I did here. In order to clear the lab, first I need to delete this deployment, and then I need to delete this deployment, and after that delete this config map and also delete this YAML file. So let me copy all these three commands and clear the window, insert all these things. ls space ltr, everything is removed. Here we have completed the first lab from the command line. How to create the config map from command line. This is the lab we have completed. Now we need to perform the second lab. For this I need to click on 02 env variable. How to insert the config map as an environment variable. This is my config map file. Here we have defined three variables: engine export 8080, language English, environment, production, deployment and test. After that we have a deployment. Here we are using envFrom, same as it is we did for the previous lab. Let me copy this and then ls I need to paste over here and then perform ls. Our file is created. Create the object from YAML file. So I'm just using kubectl apply command. Once it's done, from the output, we get to know that our config map, the name of this config map is example hyphen config map is created, and deployment, the name of the deployment is env deploy is also created successfully. So we can describe this config map. From the output, we get to know that inside this data, we have key and the value is this. This is my key engine export and value is 8080. So this is key pair. Explore the config map through get command. We can also explore. Let me clear the screen here. It is showing inside this data we have three keys. Log in into one pod and check the environment variables. The last time I have already shown you what is this. So I'm just copy this command here and check the env inside one pod. Here we can see that our three variables key and their values attached in the container. Clear the lab. So I'm just going to delete config map YAML file and deployment it will be delete and then remove this file. Fair enough. Let me execute ls space ltr. Now the file is deleted and there is no config map should be here. Config map. This is the default one. If I go back and now click on config map from file. In the theory part we have already covered. So here I'm just going to create one single file engine export and the name of the file would be the key and inside this file would be our variable value. You can say that. Let me paste over here. After that we are going to create a config map in v file. This is the name of my config map and from file option this time we are using here and we are saying engine export. This is my key. Create a deployment and here again we are using envFrom. The third lab is also from envFrom environment variable. After creating the YAML file, we need to create the objects. So for that reason, kubectl apply -f and then file name env this. Now our deployment is created and it will create some pods. Let me check if my pods are running. Yeah, some pods are running. Here I can use this command. Now I can see here that engine export is showing 8080. This is the variable we have attached. So now we are going to delete all the stuffs, clear the lab, everything is removed. Let me go with ls space ltr, nothing is here. That's great. Now the last one is config map from volume. In order to proceed this lab for config map from volume, first I need to create a namespace core because here we are going to create the config map inside one core namespace and inserting three variables. In the deployment, again we are using the same namespace and inside this volume section we are using config map subcommand syntax and the name of this config map is example hyphen config map 1 and the same name we are using here example hyphen config map 1. So let me copy. Before executing this command, let me create one namespace and paste over here. After that, create the object from the YAML file. So it will going to create one config map and one deployment for us. From the command output, we get to know that it is successfully executed. After that, explore the config map through describe subcommand. We will see the same three environment variables that we are going to attach here, key value pairs, and this time we are using hyphen encore namespace. Explore the config map through get command. So here we will observe inside this data we have three keys. Now verify our pod is created or not. I have to use core namespace. So all are created. All 5 ports are created here. If I execute this command, I will see the env environment variable. It will print out, but this time it will not showing me anything here. Why? Because this time we are inserted the key values as a file here. You will observe 3 files under the directory etc config. So I'm just going to check if this is the case or not. Why it is inside this etc config directory. Here we have mentioned inside this container configuration mount path is etc config. Let me paste this command here, and now I can see here that 3 files are there. We can also open this file by using the cat command. So let me copy this command and paste it over here. Language is English here. So this is the way we can insert the config map inside our container. So I hope this is clear for you. Let me clear the lab. kubectl delete namespace core. Question. You are tasked to create a config map and consume the config map in a pod using the volume mount. Please complete the following question. Create a config map, name another config. The name of the config map is another config containing the key value pair, and the key is key3 and the value is value2. Start the pod name, and the name of the pod should be nginx config map containing a single container using the nginx image, and mount the key you just created into the pod under the directory some path. So we can create the config map with the help of command line from literal key value pair. So if I copy here, let me clear the screen and paste it over here. My config map is created. I can check this config map, kubectl get config map, another one key is here. After that, I need to create a pod here. In the exams, you can open a terminal browser and write it here kubernetes.io website and click on documentation and type here config map. Just click on the first one, and if you scroll down, you will observe this pod, and if you scroll down more, yeah, this copy this YAML file. Create one file here, config map.yaml. Any file name you can write it here. Press I for insert, shift insert. Now, as per the question, what we need to do here, the name of the pod is nginx. In exams, you need to use shortcut Control Shift C and paste it over here, right? And after that, what it says that using nginx image. Here using Redis, so I'm just modify it here, and some path mounted in some path. So I'm just going to remove this one, and here read only true. If you want, you can delete it. And the name of our config map is another config. Just copy this one and paste it over here. Apply this one, kubectl apply -f config map. We added as a volume, so it should be visual inside the some path, right? So let me go here, kubectl get pods. Yes, my pod is running. Let me go inside this pod here, kubectl. If I open this file, I can see this value 2. I can do like this here. So now it is showing neatly value 2. And the same thing I have done for you. So let me exit from here and then copy to clear the lab plus question, paste it over here. Everything is deleted. I should not see anything here. Yes, so this is the config map I also need to delete here that I created manually. So I believe that this type of question can be asked in the question, especially in CKAD exam. This is very simple. After completing the 4 labs, this question is very simple. It's a cup of tea for me now. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel so that you will get free content, and thank you.